You did what you were told. You saved aggressively, you maxed out your 401k, and you chased the biggest number possible. You followed the rules. But what if the rules were written to benefit someone else more than you? What if the finish line keeps moving further away because the people who built the racetrack, they get paid to keep you running? The financial industry has spent decades creating an obsession with accumulation, a belief that a bigger number is always the answer. But this manipulation is quietly costing millions of people the very thing that they're saving for, the freedom to enjoy their life. That's why we're making this video today, to reveal how the accumulation obsession has led many retirees to delay their ideal lifestyle and to show you what to do instead to optimize both your wealth and your retirement experience. Let's get right into it. First, the accumulation obsession that steals your retirement years. So what is this accumulation obsession that has manipulated you into sacrificing the best retirement years? It's a system built on a profitable idea: keep people saving for as long as possible. The financial industry promotes these endless arbitrary numbers, right? $1 million, $1.4 million, $2 million. It all ignores your actual spending needs, which can cause you to work years longer than necessary. Why? Because their business model often profits on collecting fees on the money that you keep invested with them. This is what makes the accumulation obsession mindset so harmful. It forces you to focus on things you can't control, like the stock market, which can put you in a constant state of anxiety. Research from the Stanford Center on Longevity makes a clear distinction between our lifespan and our health span. Delaying retirement just to reach an arbitrary number means that you are trading your healthiest, most active go-go years for a number that might never actually make you feel comfortable in retirement. This creates an immense psychological stress. In fact, a landmark study from Allianz revealed that a majority of pre-retirees actually fear running out of money more than they fear death. This anxiety, confirmed by the annual surveys from the Employee Benefit Research Institute, which shows that people's definition of enough keeps increasing as they save more. This is what transforms retirement from a reward into that carrot on a stick that's always just out of reach. So how do you take back control? You need to stop focusing on the things you can't control and start focusing on a metric you actually can control: your portfolio income needs, or your PIN. Stop asking the anxious question, how big is my pile? And start asking yourself, can my assets generate the income that I need to live the lifestyle that I want? It's about adopting a smarter framework that puts you back in the driver's seat. And while the accumulation obsession steals your retirement years, the replacement rate myth shows how and why many in the financial industry create artificial scarcity to keep you saving. The replacement rate myth that creates artificial scarcity. So what is the myth that they use to create this artificial scarcity that manipulates people into oversaving? You've been told for decades that you're going to need to replace 80% of your pre-retirement income in retirement. This is the number that's baked into almost every automated calculator and financial app that you use. But the problem with this one-size-fits-all approach is a deeply flawed piece of conventional wisdom that systematically overestimates what most people might actually need in retirement. That's because it ignores the reality of how your expenses change in retirement. You're no longer saving 15% of your annual salary towards your 401k. You're not paying 7.65% into FICA taxes, and your mortgage is either likely paid off or close to it, and the kids are now financially independent, hopefully. And research on this topic from experts like David Blanchett at Morningstar has shown that real-world replacement rates are not a single standard number. They vary wildly, from as low as 54% to as high as 87%. This all depends on a person's income, lifestyle, and health. The industry promotes a simple, inflated 80% myth because it creates fear and serves their business model. Higher replacement rates require larger account balances, which generates more fees for them over longer periods of time. This allows them to avoid the personalized, in-depth planning that might reveal you're much closer to being able to retire than a generic formula can suggest. So how do you break free from this myth? Well, you need to focus on your personal reality. Take control by doing that work to understand your actual spending patterns. This is the foundation of a retirement plan built for today's world. You calculate what your life will truly cost, like understanding the difference between your essential needs, like housing, food, healthcare, and your discretionary spending or wants, like travel, hobbies, etc. This understanding is the foundation for calculating your true portfolio income needs, or PIN. This is the metric that's going to give you back control and allows you to plan based on your life, not on their generic advice. If you can, calculate your portfolio income needs and start to determine if you could withdraw that amount on an annual basis from your portfolio for an extended period of time. Now, it can often be the case that a higher withdrawal rate can be sustained in early retirement if a future guaranteed income source might kick in, like a pension or Social Security or Medicare. And there's a research-based concept in retirement called the retirement spending smile that says in the early years of your retirement, your withdrawal rate will be higher anyways because you're going to want to be moving around and doing more things. And then it will start to trickle down for the majority of the years of your retirement. And then it will tick back up at the end of life as end-of-life care expenses kick in. And a good financial planner can help you kind of figure out how to absorb those different levels of withdrawal rates at different ages. But this is why understanding your portfolio income needs is so important, because it helps answer the core retirement problem of what can I responsibly spend in retirement. And if you want help in calculating your portfolio income needs, or if you're ready to take control of your retirement planning, click the link below and book a call with our team where we will break down the exact system to optimize your retirement plan as a whole, regardless of your situation. Let's move on and discuss the debt payoff opportunity that oversaving destroys. Going back to this obsession with oversaving, especially into tax-deferred pre-retirement accounts, is that it destroys another powerful, controllable tool, the debt payoff opportunity. What this is a simple mathematical reality that the money you pay in high-interest consumer debt almost always exceeds the investment returns that you could hope to earn. Parts of the financial industry have conditioned you to pour every spare dollar into retirement accounts, even while carrying expensive debt. This creates a mathematical disadvantage that costs you money. Eliminating high-interest debt can provide a guaranteed risk-free return that the volatile stock market can never match. Furthermore, true debt freedom drastically reduces your retirement income needs far more effectively than just accumulating a slightly larger nest egg. Now, why does this debt versus savings trade-off prove that oversaving often makes you financially worse off? It's a concept called negative arbitrage. Major financial authorities like the Federal Reserve frequently report on the average credit card interest rates. As of today, those rates are often hovering between 15 and 25%. Now, what's a reasonable expected return on a diversified investment portfolio? Maybe 6 to 8% over the long term, right? Making minimum payments on debt with 20% interest while trying to rely on earning 8% in your retirement accounts, it's like trying to use a bucket to scoop the water out of a boat that has a huge hole in the bottom. You're going to have a hard time. By strategically paying off that high interest debt, you get an immediate cash flow improvement that compounds throughout your retirement. Entering retirement debt-free, or at least high-interest debt-free, reduces your income requirements and provides a level of emotional and financial security that a slightly larger leveraged portfolio simply cannot. And this reveals a core truth. Strategic debt payoff is often far more valuable than excessive, undisciplined retirement contributions. And while debt payoff optimization improves finances, the emergency fund neglect shows how oversaving creates dangerous financial vulnerabilities. Which brings us to that final consequence of that accumulation obsession that we're talking about, the emergency fund neglect. And what is this neglect that oversaving creates? It's the dangerous vulnerability that comes from focusing all of your savings on retirement accounts, leaving you exposed to unexpected life events like job loss, a healthcare emergency, or a major home repair. A lack of accessible emergency funds forces a terrible choice. Either go into high-interest debt or make an expensive early withdrawal from your retirement accounts, which could cost you a fortune in penalties and taxes. Now, why does this neglect prove that oversaving creates a false sense of security? Because retirement accounts provide very little help during a present-day emergency. This isn't a small risk. The Federal Reserve's own Survey of Household Economics and Decision-Making recently found that 37% of American adults cannot cover a mere $400 emergency expense without having to borrow money. That's more than 1 in 3 Americans. By prioritizing accumulation in locked accounts over building a liquid emergency fund, you are creating a fragile financial life. So how do you fix this and take control? Again, start by calculating your essential monthly living expenses and then set a clear target of saving at least 3 months worth of those expenses. If you can, consider trying to save up to at least 6 months worth of expenses. Then open a separate high yield savings account. That way this money isn't commingled with your daily checking account balance, and automate future additional contributions to that account and treat it as a non-negotiable part of your overall retirement plan. This liquid safety net provides a level of flexibility and peace of mind that a locked 401k simply cannot match. This account may also provide value later in your retirement planning strategies from a tax planning and withdrawal optimization perspective. So keep that in mind as well. And again, if you are hoping to retire in the next 5 to 10 years or maybe even sooner and you need help in figuring out these numbers, use the link below and book an introductory call with our office to help you with building a retirement plan that addresses your situation in today's world. So now that you understand these oversaving dangers, let's look at how to optimize your retirement strategy for both wealth and life satisfaction. The optimal retirement strategy that balances wealth and life satisfaction. So how do you implement an optimal retirement strategy that balances adequate savings with a life that you can actually enjoy? Again, you're going to need to focus on your personal reality. You take control by doing the work to understand your actual spending patterns. Calculate what your desired lifestyle will actually cost, like understanding the difference between your essential needs, again, housing, food, healthcare, and your discretionary spending wants, travel, hobby, money for the grandkids, etc. From that, subtract all of your other predictable income sources like a pension or Social Security, and that number that's left over, that is your PIN. It's the exact job that your portfolio must do for you each year. Everything is determined by cash flow, and portfolio income needs is the formula that we use to help someone determine how much income they need from their retirement portfolio on the day that they retire. With that assessment in place, you can now move to finding your framework. You're going to use your cash flow information, your portfolio income needs, to then determine what type of retirement plan you need to build for yourself. If we look at the types of retirement plans, there are a few different frameworks we can apply: shortfall, strengthen, and sharpen. Once you identify which type of framework you need, we have this grid with a certain set of action items that are going to be the most important to consider. Depending on which framework that you're in, you're going to consider these priorities. For example, let's say you are in the shortfall framework. You might prioritize working longer because if you work longer, you have a few years of drain, fewer years of drain on your portfolio assets. And or you could prioritize saving more money because if you spend less pre-retirement and accumulate more assets, you could either retire earlier or on your intended date with more spending flexibility. Or you could choose to or accept that you have to spend less in retirement, which is probably the least desirable of these options, right? But again, once your framework is built and your priorities are in place, you can now execute on those priorities. This could be anything from Social Security claiming or timing to investment allocation strategies to Roth conversion timing or more. Keep in mind, though, that all of the knowledge in the retirement planning universe is completely worthless if you don't prioritize and then execute in a logical, methodical way. It's great to have software give you an improved Monte Carlo score, and it's awesome to see cash flow for, projections improve, but they don't mean anything if you don't do the underlying action items that get you to those results. So now that you understand how the financial industry has manipulated you into oversaving and how this is actually costing you your ideal retirement, you can make informed decisions that balance adequate savings with timely retirement and life enjoyment. If you're ready to develop a retirement strategy that optimizes both your wealth and your life satisfaction, rather than just falling for accumulation manipulation, click the link below and book a call with our team. Until next time, take care.